Joe, last night, one of the absolutely best things in college football happened, which this happens all across America. Coaches have their coaches show. We heard from Mark Stoops a couple of weeks ago about him needing more money. Coach Orgeron a couple of years ago when he, told a guy he was going to go put him in a hole, basically saying he was going to kill him. Okay, like these coaches shows can go off the rails, but none was as good as last night in Clemson on Dabo's coaches show when Tyler called in. Let me just preface, we're not going to play it because everybody in America has played this already, okay, has played the audio. Basically, a Clemson fan named Tyler, as Dabo would say, called in and said, basically, hey, man, you're making too much money for you to be 4-4. It's unacceptable. And Dabo went off. He went stupid. He used the word ass twice. Jesus would not love that. But I do kind of like the fight and fire from Dabo. That doesn't mean that doesn't have to change. Like, that is frustration, okay, from a fan that's like, hey, man, I'm not in the 1% that you keep calling out every week. I was here when you were selling real estate. I was here when you were on Terry Bowden's staff. I've been here a long time. We're paying you $11 million a year not to be 4-4. Joe, they weren't really chirping when he was 10-3 the last 2 years. They were kind of upset,
disappointed.
They were disappointed, but they weren't 4-4. Right? Like, they were still 10-win programs. Things are bad in Clemson. What did you think when you heard that from Dabo last night?
Well, for anyone who's new to the show, I'm not a Dabo fan. I think that he's a pompous ass, and I think that this is even more proof that he's a pompous ass. No, in all seriousness, like with the quote that he had, yes, he made the statement like, oh, I put this blame on me, but he then proceeds to divert attention away and blame the fans. He has done this every step of the way, the entirety of his time at Clemson, that when he is successful and things are going well, all our eyes are on him. It's always on him. He always gets all the credit. He's the one who's talked about. But the minute things get tough, you're blaming the fans? You're blaming your fan base? Are you kidding me? That is so goddamn pathetic by Dabo that's his reaction. It's unbelievable. And on top of that, one of the things that he said in this, he's like, oh, what, has Coach K never had a bad season? Coach K was a basketball coach with one and dones. You have a roster that has turned over not nearly as much, and you've made no efforts to adapt to the modern landscape of college football. It is ridiculous.
To his point, it's so great that you brought that point up. Coach K literally adapted. He didn't want to do the one and done thing. He was refusing it. He started getting his ass whipped. Remember, I think it was Kentucky that year with Anthony Davis and the dudes, the unibrow, which everybody, the brow, everybody was calling him. And then Coach K said, you know what, man? I can't win unless I get some of these dudes. It's not going to happen. And all of a sudden, guess what, Dabo? He adapted. Joey's not going to change. He's not.
He'll get fired in 2 years then.
If he
doesn't change, they're going to continue to lose 3 to 4 games, and 3 to 4 games does not get you in. It's not worthy enough for him to stick around. The expectation is high, as he has talked about, and he's not going to live up to it anymore.
I think they would give him the dignity of resigning, unless he's that hard-headed and says, fire me.
I think he is. He absolutely is that type of guy.
The problem is, I think you're right, Joe. I do think he's that hard-headed. And the bad thing about this with Dabo is they have the infrastructure to be good. But somebody, AD, whoever, has boosters, has to get in his ear that he's got to hit. Basically, Joe, this is what they're saying, okay? Tyler's saying, brother, you got to hit the portal. I mean, the 4-4 thing, it is what it is. And Dabo's not wrong in him saying they're a couple plays away from being undefeated. Joe, they are. Right? Like, they are one of the worst red zone offensive teams in the country. Okay? If, Joe, the conversions in the red zone, that they did not have. If they just converted half of them, Joe, they're not 4-4. You know what they are? They're 6-2 at worst. And I will give you Florida State, and I will give you Duke. Okay? They are so bad in the red zone. I am giving you the good teams that they would have lost to, Duke, and that being Florida State. If they're able to just convert half of the ones, Joe, that they could, NC State, other ones, that is, to me, though, it's not a personnel issue all the times. It's a coaching issue. Now, if Klubnik is going to continue to have these issues, which we'll talk a little bit of Notre Dame here and a Notre Dame Clemson reaction here, Notre Dame is not a team that you can just go. You got to get 7 or they're going to beat your ass. And you're going to be staring 4 and 5 in the face. And all of a sudden it's going to look really bad. And you could be into a potential spot where you're facing South Carolina, Joe, for bowl eligibility. Like, we're here now. We are here now with Clemson talking about bowl eligibility.
And I also wouldn't be surprised if they don't have 6 losses and he doesn't say he doesn't want to go to a bowl game. I would not be surprised because that is his personality.
I think if he goes 6-6, he's gonna call it quits.
Yeah, I know. I really do. And that is very, very possible. Now, I think that they're probably going to beat South Carolina. This Notre Dame Clemson matchup does scare me as a Notre Dame fan.
When's the last time Dabo's been this far into his schedule and had a losing record, if ever?
Maybe the first season. I don't know. That's a good. He hit the ground running decently when he took over.
Yeah, and that's how he got the job. Then I think he faced LSU in a Peach Bowl and won.
Wait, I want to check this. This is a really good question.
Look, this is the worst that it's ever been under him.
Wait, let's see if I can. Let me see if I can find it. But look, I think that just so much needs to be done for him to get to a point where this team is back on track. And he has taken no strides or steps to go in that direction. It looks like the worst season he had was 6-7 in 2010. And then after that, the most amount of losses he had was 4.
So 13 years.
He went from 2012 up until 2022. He had no more than 3 losses. So 10 years. He went 10 years without. That's my point, is that there's a clear sign of regression. It's not like this is an off chance bad team. They have slowly taken steps backwards since Trevor Lawrence went to the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams do that. I mean, look at Saban. I mean, Saban's offense fell off a cliff when Bryce Young left. That's normally what happens, okay?
But they're going to find a way to rebound next year. They're going to go in the portal. They're going to grab somebody, and they're going to be back to where they were.
No doubt. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. Right. You get what I was trying to say there.
Yeah.
I will say this. He does, from a fan base, I know losing sucks. Winning those 2 national titles and having that many 10-win seasons should buy him some grace. I
think it will. I really do think it will.
I think it buys him more than just grace, to be honest with you.
I remember when Brian Kelly went 5-7 that one year when they dealt with a lot of injuries. I mean, the team guys like him will get a lot of grace, but the way that he is handling himself is not helping. The way that he is antagonizing the fans and maybe even seemingly the boosters at a certain point, I would be worried. I would not be surprised if there is not an effort, if there's a mediocre season next year with 3 losses. I'll go as far as say 3 and missing the playoff, maybe not winning the ACC championship game, that could be the real path to things falling apart.
Well, there's a new dog in the ACC. Right. Yeah. I mean, that's they're not the king of the hill anymore. So
there's multiple new dogs. There's people that are up to par with where Clemson was when they were at their top. Florida State's right there. Miami could get there in a year.
I'm not going to say that, because when they were at their top, they went to 3 straight national title, or 4 straight playoffs. This would be Florida State's 2nd total. They've never won a national title in the playoff era. They're not there yet, but I do get what you're saying. There are a couple people that's ahead of him.
Make sure you check out Bet Online for all of your sports betting needs. For anything that I do betting related, I go on over to betonline.ag and I use promo code BELIEVE50. BetOnline has all of the latest updated odds for the NFL and college football seasons. Anything you need, whether it's futures, live in-game betting, no matter what, your football betting needs are met at BetOnline. And again, make sure you use that promo code BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50 to get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.